Hello, this is Heather Gates, and I welcome you to the Stand in the And podcast, where we have honest conversations about the messy complexity of the human experience, where we get stuck, and how we find forward in the and of it all where many things are true at once. This podcast is designed especially for those of us who want to make things more beautiful and better for everyone, and sometimes need reminding that we are human too. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back to the podcast, y'all. I'm so humbled and grateful to be here at the table today for a conversation with my friend and thought partner in small business, Erica Allison. Erica, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, and for letting us host this at your place.
It makes it easy for me.
Well, the commute was good. Before I gush about what a full circle moment is for me to even be here and my connection to your space, introduce us in a way that feels meaningful, helps give context to the remarks you're going to share.
Okay. I thought about this when you talked about introducing. Thanks for the prep.
It's trickier than you think to introduce yourself,
It is.
I feel like.
It is. It's not like I'm at a conference or applying for a job.
Right, you're not.
No. So I thought about it, and I'm several things to various people. So for this podcast, I'm the CEO of a business that I've founded nearly 20 years ago. Next year will be 20 years. To my clients and colleagues, I'm a communicator, a storyteller, strategic thinker, crisis communicator, and I really hope a servant leader. That's a goal I've had for a long time. I'm also a proud mom to two really awesome humans, both at various stages of leaving the nest. One has already left, but still close enough that I can see them, and one is about to take the big leap to college 4 hours away in the fall. Go Wolfpack. And then I also thought it would be fun to say that I'm a Gen X kid, which technically makes me middle-aged, but it's hard to say. But it also makes me super independent, resilient, and a very, very likely a fixer of all things, even if I'm not qualified to fix them.
We're a confident bunch.
We just say, yeah, I got this.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
You need something done on your head?
Sure,
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. You want me to fix that toilet? Yeah, I can fix it. Until then, I have to call someone.
Sure.
But I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to figure it out. And so those are all the ways that I feel are appropriate to not only introduce me to your audience, but just describes who I am and how I'm feeling right now.
Well, and that figure it out, I mean, I'm just stuck with the figure it out and how much in business, the way that, and we'll talk more about that, but just the tenacity that small business requires. And when you have teams that are smaller, everybody has a bit of that.
Yeah.
We have to figure it out. We have to, we're one YouTube video away from how do we do a podcast,
right?
Yes. Yeah. All right. I don't know. Sure. I don't know, but we'll figure it out.
I just learned about AI last week.
Well,
I'm really good at it now. So
see, you're just figuring it out one at a time. I'm glad you mentioned that you're coming up on 20 years because I was trying to think. I think our paths crossed. So you started your business a little bit sooner than I did the first time, I think. So I started my business, or really didn't on purpose start a business, just was trying to do work while I had a baby, and Nash is 18 now. So roughly the timeline is similar. And I just remember us kind of crossing paths. We have similar, sometimes we have overlapping client type. And so from way back then, it's just been... I want to say an honor. It's been inspiring, actually, is a better word, to watch you build this.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
And when I think about, because it's hard sometimes, I feel like I have caught of people who are doing consulting or project-based work, and sometimes it feels like something they're just doing in the meantime. But to be in a place where, like, no, this is what I'm doing, and I'm doing it at a scale where I, have staff and those things, but I'm also not running a 100-person consulting firm. It's hard to find, who are your mentors, or who's helping you imagine. So it's, I've always had you a step ahead and a level up to help me imagine what this could look like. And so it's then been fun times where I get to refer to you or where I need to reach out to you for support in my business as we rebrand. So I've just appreciated the thought partnership and then watching your business growth over time. Much less, and we didn't say this, but you are here in Hendersonville,
Mhm.
where I live, so that it's local, and I've just appreciated that relationship and watching y'all. Because
Aw,
now you have a team of 10,
I do.
which in my mind, I'm like, that's the biggest. I could never, like, that feels big to me. I'm like, 10 is the max.
10's a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and it takes a lot of brain power and capacity because you're always thinking about them. They're like my additional children, honestly, and I don't mean that in a
right. But the level of
demeaning
care,
way to anyone on my team. It's just thinking about them, kind of that background track running in your head when you're thinking about your
always.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right. And at various times, I think it's just been helpful to have somebody to thought partner with
Mhm.
around contracting and employment and scale or growth or not and all those things. And I think we'll touch on some of that today. I'm curious how you dance with that. Fun fact for those who don't know is the room that we're in right now actually is the space that we did our website photo shoot in. So it's fun to sit here with you now. It's been I'm reminded it means it's time for a new
Mhm.
website. I think it speaks to the generosity in which you run your business. Right, the graciousness, because it's one thing to kind of be successful in what you're doing, but to have an openness to sharing that with others, to sharing your space with others. It's not how everybody does this, um, but that spirit of generosity, just an important other thing. Okay.
Well, thank you. Well, I will say I've always enjoyed our conversations because you ask such good questions.
Mm,
They make me think a little differently about whatever the topic is.
interesting.
Yeah. So that's been very helpful over the years.
I take that, I'll hold that close, especially from someone who is such a tough question asker. I remember feeling very, uh, when you were helping with my brand, I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I thought I already said it. Why do I have to say it a different way? You're tough." And create a great product. Okay, before we get into it, because we are going to lean in today to the topic of contentment and ambition,
Mm.
but it's our tradition before we do that to honor our own humanity and do a little and what I call an and stand to see if there's an and that you're standing in that you just want to acknowledge today. You just did a nice and of your context as you introduced yourself. If there was anything else you want to acknowledge, but just about how you're showing up today and the and of things, I'm happy to go first if you want me to, because I'll also share.
Sure. Well, I was laughing because I am a thinker and prepper. When I
Yeah.
get questions, I'm going to try and
Okay.
use them to prepare. But I feel like I'm both excited and a little apprehensive about the conversation because when you're talking about ambition and contentment, it can be so intricately tied to your internal drive. We could err into some self-help here. So,
I hope you're here to give me some help. So, okay. So
yeah.
it's feeling a little vulnerable in that
Yeah,
way.
yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Um, I can't, I told you before we recorded, I'm just really excited personally to see what you have to say on this. I think my topic is related to today, or the and that I'm standing in that I'm feeling most is that the tension, most simply, I think, said between fast and slow. And almost my intolerance for anything, and it's like I'd have no other gear besides race and stillness. And I find that if when I'm in the other, I want the other one.
Mhm.
When it's slow, I'm like, "Oh," it's almost wanted to call it the and of boredom and overwhelm.
Mm,
But finding the Goldilocks of this feels like a rhythm that's stimulating and exciting without being too much and not boredom. It's just an interesting. So when I'm currently in a faster paced time, and I'm finding myself really deliberately having to interrupt my own momentum to just try to be present, reset, because it can just
that's great.
the momentum can spin. So I'm in that foot on the brake, foot on the gas in a really felt way
Mhm.
right now.
Mhm. Yeah.
So if you hear me speed up and then realize I need to sit back and take a breath, just know that that's my MO.
No, I get it. I can relate to that.
Okay, let's see how that shows up to contentment, because clearly what I just described is probably me not feeling like
Uh,
fully content with either one. Okay, I think I want to pass to you first on this. First of all, I do want to say that this topic came from a listener. We haven't done that a lot. I have so many ideas of what I want to talk about, but it was fun to have somebody ask us to talk about contentment and ambition. And so I reached out to you. Thank you for being up for it. But I think about you and I think about ambition
Mhm.
and the conversations that we have. I suspect that this is something that you have to think about. So even when I came to you with this topic, like what do the words mean to you? What do them coexisting mean?
Hmm. So much.
Yeah.
So much there.
How do you want to start it?
Well, I it's interesting because the word I gravitated to first was ambition. It's an interesting word because it can have both positive and negative connotations to it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I want to look at the definition, and it's the internal drive that motivates individuals to work hard, overcome obstacles, and pursue personal or professional advancement. That sounds great. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Mm-hmm.
It's when it tips too far and it takes over, or the ambition or the goals maybe are external rather than internal, and
Mm.
that's when it can get tricky, and it can also the negative connotations and positive connotations can vary widely depending on gender.
Mm.
If I were a man and had the same level of ambition that I do, it would be completely fine
Mm.
and expected and applauded. But sometimes as a woman, especially if you're a mom and you're running a business and you're not always there for every event or
Mhm.
maybe can't be, it can be viewed in a negative way, like, "Well, she's just too ambitious." It can then
Mm.
tip. So over the years, I've been at this a long time, not just with my business, but just work in general. I can't avoid that I am ambitious, and I'm
Mm.
not going to apologize for that. What I can do is try and understand it more
Mm.
and try and sit with it and get at the heart of what does that mean for me as a person, both professionally and personally. So there's another and there, the professional and the
Mm.
personal.
Mhm.
Um, as a business owner and entrepreneur, there's always this undercurrent of ambition, at least for me, in everything that we do. Are we filling the pipeline? Do we have enough clients? Am I going to hit the revenue goals? Is the staff getting what they need? Do they need more support? Do I need more support, to be able
Yeah.
to do this? And then after doing it 20 years, you get tired, But sometimes that doesn't mean the ambition is gone,
Mm.
especially because I don't know that I can't speak for everyone. I think my ambition is part of my DNA. It's baked into
Interesting.
who I am, how I was raised, what I'm about.
So you don't feel it feels pretty steady state. The ambition side of the "and" feels fairly steady state.
It can, as far as just understanding what is ambition for
Yeah.
me. Now, it has gotten out of hand at times
Mhm.
and you get out of balance. And that's where I've looked at the contentment side of
Hmm.
things too, because typically if I'm too out of balance and overly ambitious for a goal, whether it's business or personal, the contentment goes away
Mm.
for me. It
Yeah,
can
you're
become,
like, really situated. I think about where do we get stuck in the "ands." You're really just kinda living on one side of it.
if you do, yeah, I
Yeah,
try not to.
right, but
And
it can tilt that way.
it can tilt that way. And you tend to think of ambition solely, I do, as or I think the norm is ambition relates to work. The
Mhm.
problem is if I become too ambitious as a mom, God help those children, because then I'm placing too much pressure on them. I'm
Yeah.
trying to impart upon them my ambition, and that's just not that may be or may not be who they are. So it's this balance of making sure it's my ambition about what is going to be best for
Mm.
me, but also recognizing there are these other people in this sphere, be it at work or at home. It applies both places. Sometimes I can get too far out ahead
Mm.
of my team and I've gotta stop and go, "Okay, wait a minute. I'm way out here with whatever my vision is and what I think is the right next step." They may be a few steps behind because I haven't stopped to catch them up
Mhm.
or meet them where they are. Um, so I'll give a little side story with that. We're rebranding Formation PR and Brand. I didn't even mention what my business name was. Such a good marketer. But we're rebranding, and it's taken a while for the new brand narrative and strategy to get to a point where I feel like, ah, yes. And it hit me the other day that, oh my God, this narrative is so. I'll read you just a little piece of it,
Oh, we're gonna get a preview.
just a little preview. So this is the short version. Formation PR and Brand is a strategic communications agency for mission-driven organizations navigating moments that matter with sector depth and fluency. And then another sort of positioning statement we have is that we believe that the organizations making an impact deserve a partner who genuinely gives a damn. And it can be about their mission, the community, getting it right. My goodness, that's a lot. That sounds very high stakes, doesn't it? But
Yeah.
then I realized, oh, that's me. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
about me that's light and breezy.
Right. You're like, "We're trying to be,
I would
yeah,
love
intense about
I would
this."
love to be that way, but I am intense, and that's okay to honor that.
Yeah.
We just have to make sure we're not outpacing the client. We're not outpacing the people around us. And so that's when the contentment can get out of balance
Yeah.
if I go too far.
And for me, when you said that, I was like, gosh, I think I'm always just struggling with outpacing myself.
Yes.
My own where my ambition just outpaces my own actual capacity in a human body in a
Mhm.
lifetime.
Mhm.
I think I've said on a different podcast, you know, we talk about boundaries and boundaries at work and boundaries in other places. And I was like, yo, I'm just trying to figure out how to boundary myself all the time about how many things we can do or not do. I think I said in the end, I'm like fast and slow. It's like all on either until burnout and like pause, or I'm having to try to interrupt that. So the ambition side of it. And I don't know that mine runs at a steady state in the same way that yours does. I think there are I do feel like there are times when I think about that, and for me, there's the ambition side, which very simply to me feels like more. I more that I'm seeking, not just more that's coming, but ambition to me, if I think about it, feels like more. Contentment feels like enough.
True. Yeah. And that's where that connotation comes in because
Mhm.
more may give off a negative vibe, like, "Well, you've got enough. Why do you need more?" And it's not so much for me, that's not how I'm carrying ambition.
Yeah.
It truly is that drive to make it better, to do it right, to overcome things, to get to the next goal. My partner was telling me about a networking event he went to, and the icebreaker was to share something about yourself, 'cause it's something that's completely useless about yourself that's really interesting that you're really good at. Like,
Oof. Which I
I
was like,
couldn't
I
think
don't
of
know what
one thing.
I don't
And he
know.
said, "Right, because you don't do anything that's not functional or
Mm,
that doesn't mean something."
interesting.
Isn't that wild? And I had to kinda sit with that for a minute.
Like, I need a project, I need a hobby.
And that's why I've become so avid in my garden. I'm
I
trying
saw that.
to do something that feels less like work.
Hmm,
And so I have to
that
monitor
drive
that.
you have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, even going for a walk, am I gonna beat my best
Oh, so you're intensely competitive.
with myself?
Okay.
Yes, more than others, but that gets intertwined with the ambition, and so
Yeah.
to get to commitment, because I do wanna talk about that. Over the past, I don't know, 5 years or so, I have been very focused on taking a beat and
Yeah.
trying to pause, and it's okay to have that ambition, but let's also figure out contentment.
Mhm.
And I used to think that contentment was something that that was just, like, light and breezy, and it just comes to you. And that's like a bait and switch. It's not.
Mm-mm.
You do have to seek it out. You have to for me, I have to
Mhm.
be purposeful about it. I have to find ways for it to evolve. If I pursue it too relentlessly, then it becomes work again.
Right, you're like, "I'm being ambitious about
About my
seeking
contentment.
contentment." Right.
It's a real problem.
Right, you're right. I'm on a race with myself about how content
Exactly.
I can be.
So yeah, it's a constant sort of struggle. I feel like I've gotten better with it over the years
Yeah.
where I strip away the things that don't matter to me
Yep.
or the superfluous, the external sort of fluff
Mm,
and really just be more,
mhm.
and that does help me get to contentment, and I will say I am very content in my life, love my
Yeah,
family, my business, my partner, everything, all of it is good. It just like anything, all of it can get a little wacky, a little out of balance from time to time.
yeah. I think too, at moments where I feel ambitious, because I think this is and I'll come back to that, but I think it ebbs and flows for me in a different way than it does you. But ideally, if ambition is present, contentment is also.
Mhm.
Now, I'm fine if I just feel content because I'll, after Hurricane Helene, I don't remember, I had a lot of other context too, but I would tell people, I said, my ambition washed away in the storm.
Mm.
I don't want anything more than I have. This is enough.
Mhm.
Keep it small. Do what I can. That's just enough. Support my family. So mine really does come and go.
That's a
That's
great point.
it's tricky when you're trying to run a right? The more people you involve in whatever your ambition includes, it would be nice if you had some steady commitment to the thing, not in and out of it, depending on
Right.
your whims. But I do feel it really feels seasonal to me,
Mm.
and I think it is a place where I get stuck. So you mentioned a little bit of the stuckness already in some of the and that you experience when it feels like there's some shoulding
Mm. Mhm.
externally. So I think that's a really important just through line for all of this. Same for me is the stuckness isn't in I have ambition, I have contentment, I have them both. It's in the feeling that it should be something different than it is.
Right.
So for me, even you should be less ambitious. You should be more ambitious. Every time I go on LinkedIn, I feel like surely I should be more ambitious. And then I feel like I'm not enough. And then I have to remind myself that it is enough.
It's
So
okay.
all of this other people's
Yeah.
opinions about it is messy. And I
Mhm.
think it takes constant kind of washing away.
Mhm.
Back to your earlier description of ambition, you're like, there's some other version and then there's my version.
Mhm.
So much of this and the ability to stand in the and of this I think is honoring what is actually true for you and
Right.
letting like signing the permission slip that says, I'm going to let X amount of clients and X amount of revenue and this much staff be enough.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think culture is a tangle because on some it's like, why should you be ambitious? And in other, it's you should always be doing more. It's a lot to wipe out of your mental space to figure out what it is that you actually, what is it that I want?
Right.
And allowing that to be true. So just the shoulds that come around this
Mhm.
for me is a place that it shows up. In my ideal state, though, when ambition is present, that I can also make space for what I have right now
Mhm.
is enough.
Right.
Because I think we can be so busy chasing the thing that we miss
Right.
where we are right now. And I know I can be guilty of that and
Mhm.
have had to have reflections like, can we celebrate where we are? Like, I'm not great at the let's celebrate where we are and what we've accomplished because I'm always like, what's next?
Right.
And then I have times I'm in and out of this. Do I want more? Do I want less? So another place that gets so I think for me, the stuck places in this tension come from the shoulds of everything else that are not mine. And then figuring out because I do give a lot of permission to myself, figuring out what is it that I want? Like, what do I want right now?
Mhm.
And it changes. I'm interested in your take on this, especially we're in similar life stage as far as kids. It's seasonal for
Mhm.
me. What ambition looks like, what growth looks like, what enough looks like, and how that it probably the biggest thing that changes that for me is life stage of my kids.
Mhm.
And I'm in a constant redesign about what I want. I think work when I say ambition, I really am thinking about work. What do I want more of? How big do I want it to be? Yeah, so curious for you how it's as somebody who said you're kind of born ambitious, does it feel kind of steady for you or are there ebbs and flows or what shifts the equation the most?
No, it does not feel that steady for me. I think the core is always there
Yeah,
as far as
that drive,
that
even like that
drive.
drive,
The
yeah.
drive is there. I was raised by wild entrepreneurs, and
Okay, so you come at this
I
from your
do.
roots, both
Both of them. If you
really?
wanna do something, you just go do it. You figure it out.
Interesting. So
Not
that figure it out runs deep.
it runs real deep. It's not always healthy, but it runs deep. Um, but I think that's what instilled in me this desire to just always want to
Mm,
do more. Now,
mm,
that doesn't always equate to how society views that. I mean, my college years were not spent busting barriers with grades by any means. It shows up in different ways, but today as a 50-something-year-old who's about to see 20 years in business, I think I mentioned getting tired. The ambition does ebb and flow,
mhm,
and I look at I have 5-year goals, I have revenue goals, but I also recognize, like, with the last couple of years, we hit a goal and we've held steady. That's not a bad thing
mhm,
because there's a lot of craziness in the world, there's a lot of uncertainty. My employees have a great lifestyle of
mhm.
a life work balance that we support here. They enjoy the work they do. They make enough money. At least nobody's told me they don't, but I feel like we pay people very well for what they do and we support their goals. So if we didn't progress, if we didn't go and hit all those goals, is that okay? Sure, it's okay. But there's also the other side of that where a lot of my employees may want more. This
Mm,
business will continue to grow. At some point, it may be sold. At some point, some of the employees may become owners. And so I want to set it up for them
mm,
so that it is a highly functional business that can support what their goals are as well.
mhm.
So it's not just my ambition that factors into
It's a
that.
collective ambition really and how you collective ambition and contentment.
It is because
Yeah,
it's tied to their contentment. And I guess that contentment shows up in the culture that we
yeah.
have that I protect fiercely here so that if you are a parent or a caregiver of a parent or a caregiver of a pet for that matter, you don't have to have a child to be a caregiver, that you have balance, that
Mm,
you are free to go do the thing you need to do. Because if you are not content in your life, if your life is in turmoil, you sure as heck are not going to show up at work ready to roll. Things are
mhm,
not going to go well for you or work at that point. So just go take care of the thing. Go be present for your child. Go be present for your aging parent. Do what needs to be done.
mhm,
And then I know that when you are here at work, you're going to give your best and you're going to do your best. And that's, I think, where contentment shows up here at work
mhm,
and making sure people feel like they have that space. And then in personal life too, for me and my family, I want to make sure I'm giving myself that space
mhm.
to feel contentment.
Well, it just, I wanna question my own thinking about what so I said ambition means more of what I want, and I just tend to think of ambition as work related.
Mhm.
But you have an ambition right now to spend more time in the garden
I
that's gonna
do.
lead to contentment. So
It
they
is.
really it's more of a circular relationship and not even in either side of the and.
Right. I think
The
that's,
tangle between the 2 is
yep.
like, "Oh, well, I'm seeking this, and it's going to get me to,
Mhm.
contentment." I guess where it gets tricky for me is those feelings of if everything kind of feels not enough until we've achieved the thing,
Mhm.
like, a lot of life is in the not yet.
Mhm.
A lot of living and leading is in the meantime. So figuring out to be like, "Nothing's grown in this garden, but, I showed up today, and that feels like enough."
Yeah.
I mean, I have to think a lot about
Yeah.
last night I was sitting outside, I looked at the trees, and I just had this sense of like, "This is enough." So just these little moments
Mhm.
of enoughness. But yeah, so just something that you said thinking about how ambition is not really just work
It's
related.
not.
It's I guess about goals
Mhm.
and how that can apply to many places of your life. And this reminder I used to say to people all the time, kind of in thinking about strategy and just life, like you are the CEO of your life and there's only one candidate for
Mhm.
that position.
Mhm.
So what is the strategy for that whole thing?
Yeah. Well
So
said.
so often we're thinking about work, but what is the whole pie chart?
Mm-mm.
And what does that ambition look like? And what does contentment look like alongside of it so that we don't live a life kind of always not yet?
Right.
are always feeling the not yet. And then the second thing that stands out to me about what you said was the role that leaders play in creating culture and practices on teams where their teams can step into the wholeness of that and too. Because I could see, right, ambitious leaders could drive a team very much on one side of the and of that.
Mhm.
But to say it is our intention to be both ambitious and hold contentment in the lives that we have, and we're going to create culture for that, that doesn't accidentally work that way. Because the drive that you have could just drive.
Oh, yeah, I could be dangerous if left unchecked.
Right. That thing needs a seatbelt.
Absolutely, yes. I don't know that I have a magic answer for that. I just know over the years it was very important to me, probably 10 years ago, of figuring out how to have a successful business that earned a profit, and we are profitable and have been year over year. We may not be breaking huge revenue goals, but they're good goals that we're meeting. But at the same time, we're creating this workspace where people really like to come to work
Right.
and they like to be here and they like each other. They like the work that we do. We're very mission driven. And so it was important for me to create a culture where people wanted to show up. And part of that is just my own life experience. If I am dealing with some stuff with my kids, and I can't concentrate, I can't work. Sometimes I can power through, I mean, for sure.
Right.
You probably
We all
picked up
have
on a theme, I can do
we
that,
all I
but
have a dig deep, figure it out
yeah,
button if you have to, but that's
mm,
a short.
it's very
Mhm.
short-lived. So, it was important to me to figure out what that looks like. So that looks like hiring moms who wanna leave at 3 to go be with their kids, or hiring semi-retired, highly qualified people that wanna work 20 hours a week, and they'll do whatever we need, and we plug them in where we need to.
Mhm.
And then hiring our most recent person, our VP of, strategic communications. I'll give a plug to Sarah Broberg. She's the Energizer Bunny, and so she can pick up where my ambition may flag or
Mm.
fall behind. She can pick that up and keep going and get us to that next level, and that's fantastic. It takes a mix of
Mhm.
people, not just any one type.
Well, and I'm still holding some of what we said earlier about how we think and feel about
Mhm.
this, and what comes from the inside and out, and even this overlay that is culture and what we're being told it ought to look like, or
Yeah.
even across us,
Yeah.
right? To go, that's what Erica needs to do and wants to do. That's
Mhm.
not what my version. So it
Mhm.
just this continued nudge, I think, that I would invite for everybody is like define your own,
Yeah.
like what success looks like. So you're even as you're talking about your goals and your targets, right? There's some that are culture related, not
Mhm.
only revenue. So again, you spend too much time on the wrong website and you're going to feel like you're doing it all wrong.
I know.
So I think that's part of just tools there. Like talk to other people in real life who are figuring things out to go, what are you paying attention to? What's ambition look like for you?
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, you get to decide.
Mhm.
Like, it's not anybody's job to tell you that there's a right and a wrong way. If your most ambition right now is around this garden that you're trying to go in your yard, like, go for it. Whatever we say at my house, whatever cranks your tractor, you know?
That's
If that's
hilarious.
what you're into, fine.
I know, and I love it, and it's taught me a lot,
Yeah.
It's taught me to experiment and be fearless, but also respect that it may not go well, and you're just gonna have to go with the ebb and flow of nature, which is such a slower pace than my
Right.
pace, so it's
Nature's a good
teaching me a
teacher.
lot. Yeah.
Nature's a patience is definitely
Yeah.
um, not my gift. I wonder what tools when I think about somebody with the drive that you have and, we're setting these goals, we're
Mhm.
reaching these targets, like contentment because we talked a second ago about how sometimes ambition leads to contentment. We're going to do the thing and then we're going to feel good about it. What's contentment in the end look like I'm going to call it failure, like when we don't
Mm.
do the thing. When I have great ambition or drive about this and it doesn't work out, I don't know if you have any wisdom to offer us there around, sometimes if they're tied too close to each other.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. If that contentment seems so, I don't know, what the word is, playful and easy and fun, but it's not necessarily. But
Mhm.
if I put, I won't talk about you, but if
Yeah, yeah,
I put too much ambition into seeking the contentment, it becomes a very unhealthy cycle.
yeah.
And then I've not really gained anything. And I feel kind of not at a loss, but just I have to do a gut check and a welfare check on myself and say,
Right.
"Hey, girl, what are you doing here? Like, why don't
Mm,
you take a walk without listening to the podcast? Why don't you take a walk without timing your steps on Strava? Why don't you
mm,
just go sit outside
mm.
and or maybe when you go on a hike, it's not a death march. It's a hike where you stop and you look at flowers. You look at you try and name the birds. I'm also into birding because that's what
Right,
you're
because that's what
supposed to
middle-aged
do. Yep.
ladies do.
Mhm. Yep. I have not gotten a weighted vest. I'm not going to.
Oh, I have one, I'll
Yep.
let you borrow
Yep.
it.
Um, but trying to do things without it being measured,
Mm,
and I think as an ambitious person, you're always measuring, especially as a business owner, you're always measuring and tracking.
that's interesting.
So don't measure it. Just let it be and let it I mean, trust me, it's hard for me to turn off measurement entirely. So I am like, "Oh, well, I did, I went outside and I didn't have my phone. That was great. I've removed Instagram
Gold
off my
star.
phone. I've done things, and but I just have to be careful not to make it performative.
Mm,
And I think I talked with you about journaling
yeah.
and, that sort of practice of gratitude and writing having a gratitude journal. It repelled me, quite honestly, because I felt like it was gonna become performative, like, "I'm so grateful for the chair, and I'm grateful for the rug that I" you
Just
know?
bullshitting
Yeah.
yourself.
I'm like, "Okay, great. I've run out of things that I'm grateful for, so
Right.
now I'm gonna talk about the wall." But I then flipped to something I, of course, listened to some podcast and gave me an idea, but it was more on reflection. So it was just whatever the hell I was feeling that day,
Yeah.
and I wrote it out, and I processed it that way rather than spewing it at someone else and
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with that either, talking to your partner or your friend or whatever. But reflections really forced me to get out of my head
Mhm.
and kind of look at something in a different light. And some days I don't do it, and so that was also where I tried to make sure I gave myself grace. I think I did it for 21 days straight just to start.
Of course you know that.
Uh-huh. Yes. And then it kept up for a while and then it stopped. Life got busy, but then I pick it back up, at least weekly, but I'm not counting anymore.
Y'all, this feels so important. I am not wired this way, but I feel like I can just imagine all of my ambition friends,
Yeah.
really ambitious and driven friends and colleagues, especially because every day we're giving you new tools to measure
Yes.
things.
Yes.
All the wearables and all
Yes.
of the ways that you can track yourself, or even you're doing a fun dance class, but you're tracking
Yes.
all the things that are burning or happening or
Mhm.
whatever else. So just this invitation, this lesson that you're sharing about for everybody that's really data driven and measuring and seeking and competitive, just do some stuff that you're not measuring.
Right. Don't measure it.
Don't measure it. We're not in a contest.
Nope.
And then you also, as you were talking and describing it a minute ago, you're like, hey, girlfriend, like this little self talk that you have
Mhm.
about maybe
Calm
we
down.
can calm down, like
Yeah.
just a little bit
Yeah.
to help interrupt because it does have this scent, right? That this ambition, this drive that just feels like your pace is, you have to intentionally, I think, interrupt that
Mhm.
in some way.
Mhm. Yeah, you do, and if you don't, life's gonna interrupt it for you,
Mm,
and that won't feel good, and I had that happen a few years back with a family health crisis, and it did put the ambition on ice. It just said, "You're gonna
mm,
kind of calm down for a while and focus on this." And that, I think, probably was the pivotal moment 3 years ago where I just decided, "Okay, it's fine to have the ambition, but don't lose sight of what's really important."
mm,
Make sure your ambition is supporting what's important and helping you there, but don't let it overtake it
mhm.
and be in charge and honor that people in your life may need something else than
Gosh,
that.
it's such an important, I said a minute ago that after Hilly and my ambition life, and then you gave that example, and I just wrote, oh, crisis
Mhm.
pauses
Mhm.
ambition beyond the ambition of being fully present with what needs you most, which in those moments, crisis shows you what matters.
Mhm.
And it's probably has nothing to do with your revenue
No.
targets,
No, not at
right?
all.
It tends, for me, tends to be family, in follow up to, crisis of all sorts, but
Mhm.
that again, the releasing of should around that. Like, "Oh, you should be doing this, you should be here." Nope, it gets really clear
Mhm.
in moments like that what
Mhm.
needs your
Oh,
attention, and so you
very
just
clear.
lean in,
Mhm.
you lean in hard. So, yeah, it's a good point that sometimes I talk about being intentional, but that life sometimes pushes the
Mhm.
pause button
Mhm.
for us.
Yeah. Yeah, and to think that I want to embrace mediocrity, it's always like a dirty word, but sometimes I need to just kind of be okay with okay, and
I
that's
it's it's
that's okay.
I know this is a tricky one for me because I think as I think about being a recovering perfectionist,
Mhm.
for a long time, I'm like, "Well, what is the middle? Like, what are we talking about?
Mhm. What does that look like?
What is enough?"
Mhm.
And it's a tricky thing, and I think that's what contentment is. That's what it means to me is like, what is enough? I don't the word
It's
mediocrity,
not that.
like, gets under my s
It does.
is chafy for
Yeah.
me because I don't think what we're saying is because 'cause you're not putting out junk content.
No, no, and I don't
Right?
mean that
I
in the
know, but I
serious
feel like we
way.
need other but I do think this is what we tell ourselves,
Mhm.
right? That slowing down the dial from 100 to 98 means
Right.
that we're now settling
True.
for mediocrity. So I just
True.
wanna challenge the mental
That's a great
model
idea. Great concept.
to say, "Okay, what really is quality still? Like, what are we really
We
dialing
have to
down?
recalibrate what quality
Well,
means.
or what are we dialing down?
Right.
Because is it actually that the quality of what you're producing is changing, or you're just now gonna do it for 20 people instead of 23 people?"
Right.
Like, I doubt that you're actually dialing down
No, that doesn't
quality.
happen. I don't
Yeah,
think quality gets dialed down. Maybe it's the I think for me, it's the recognition that I don't have to do it all.
mm.
That I actually will have greater contentment if I share the load.
If I let some we're
Yeah,
talking now about letting go, not about
that's
mediocrity.
right. It's trusting that
Mm.
from the loading of the dishwasher to writing a press release or writing a content plan or a comm strategy, there are other people who can do it.
And
May not look the same way.
right, and a hodgepodgey loaded dishwasher is actually okay.
It's gonna get clean.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just looks
It
terrible.
just might drive me nuts, but
Right.
but I it's okay.
Yeah.
But I think that can be how I dial it back,
Mm.
is that I'm not trying to control the outcome or control the process and allowing or seeking, not even allowing help, but seeking help from others.
Well, and knowing it feels like inherent in that is what are the things that do uniquely need me? It's
Mhm.
not the dishwasher.
No.
Because truly, the output of that, the quality is not going to be impacted by how we do it.
Mhm.
Now, somebody arguably there's some
Could.
things, right? If
Yeah.
you put the bowls upright and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
fill up right, there is a boundary there, but there are things that like I think sometimes I treat all things equal, like they all
Mhm.
matter the
Everything
same.
matters. Yeah.
Everything matters. I have these moments where I get real meta. I'm like, everything matters and nothing matters. I'm like, oh, geez.
Mhm.
Um, but when you get into it, part of the discernment around that is not just I need to let go of things, but figuring out what they are,
Mhm.
what does at whatever the stage of growth you're in or team you're in
Mhm.
or family situation,
Mhm.
what needs you? Because I think what does feel true to me is, in my experience, the intensity, and I would probably call it intensity, the
Yeah.
intensity with which I show up for things.
Mhm.
Because I think mine's less about goals and more just about that
Oh, yeah.
full push of energy toward things.
Mhm.
And I tend to be intense about whatever it is that I decide to do. And I've learned you can't be that intense about every single thing. You'll burn right on out.
Mhm.
It's like a firework with lots of,
Right.
energy is how do I want to get differently focused? If I'm going to be that intense, it's going to I have to push it at work and directly with my kids. It's not going to be being the soccer mom and the PTO president and all these other things
Mm-mm.
because I will do that with an intensity that I can't sustain
Right.
and it'll mean I have to sacrifice something else. So yeah, I think reaching out to others, but about what?
Right. Right. And I think as I've become more in tune with what
Mhm.
brings me contentment, I fiercely protect that.
Mm.
And so I've had to discern what is that?
What is it?
What is what? Contentment or
Yeah, what bring like, what have you learned over time, like, brings you real
well, to not be on all the time.
Mm.
Things will be okay. I mean, for my crisis comms clients out there, I'm certainly on for
She's
you
available
all
for
the
you
time,
24/7.
all the time. But there are other people too that can support me, making sure when I'm at home
Mm.
with my family. Um, if I don't wanna go to a thing, I don't have to go to that thing.
Right.
It's okay. They won't even miss me.
You'll
It'll
be
it'll be
happy.
okay. And I know this just sounds overly sort of, trite, but or just sort of the cultural norm right now of just seeking out things and people that bring me joy, but that
Yeah.
is part
No, I
of
think
it,
it's part of it.
and making sure I find time for those people and things,
Mhm.
be it puttering around my garden or going for a walk with a friend or by myself,
Mhm.
making sure I have time for that. During the summer, I try and take Fridays off. It's really hard.
Nice.
And I've had 1 so far. I've had 2 Fridays, one of which I did work.
That's okay.
And so it's a process, but really trying to protect it where it makes sense. Sometimes I may need to do the thing,
Mhm.
for whatever reason.
I think so much for me when I think about what makes me feel contentment, it probably is more process related. It's more slowing down enough just to notice,
Mhm.
right? Because even if I'm really feeling content about work and I'm feeling content, I'm still just too busy doing the
Mhm.
thing, going, even if it's all the fun stuff, going to the party, hanging out with the kids, watching the movie. So I'm still just doing.
Mhm.
And I think part of feeling contentment is just slowing down
Sitting with
literally
it.
to pause
Mhm.
and acknowledge, whether in journal or quiet or something
Mhm.
else, it is a slowing down
Mhm.
to just notice. Like,
Yeah,
it's simple as that. It
it
really
is.
is a noticing.
Yeah.
Because even in a busy, I can be in kind of a crazy busy, surrounded by a bunch of people at work
Mhm.
and just have a moment to go, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I'm living the thing that I wanted to be doing right now. It's like it's almost, just a soak it's like a soaking in.
It is. It's a feeding of whatever my soul needs at
Mhm,
that point too. So trust me, going to Target is not high on my list of contentment, but if my daughter wants to spend time with me and we're going to Target,
mhm,
that's contentment because I'm getting that time with her. So that's feeding that desire to have that one-on-one time with her before she leaves to go to school. Um
and that we're paying attention. So
yeah.
I think it's the combination. It's what are the things that bring you contentment,
Yeah.
and then are you actually realizing that they're bringing you
Mhm.
contentment?
Yeah,
Because I think
do
we
you
can be
clock it?
do you
Yeah.
clock it? So
Mhm.
whatever that takes is how do I actually clock, like, "Oh," because I think we can be seeking so hard that we don't notice that we are feeling the thing that we're seeking.
Right, that's where that ambition takes
Right,
over.
to go, "Oh, hold on, ambition, I know I'm holding you, but let me just take a second to go, I'm in here right now talking to Erica in this office, and this is awesome."
Yeah,
Even though I'm also thinking about 50 other things that are coming
sure.
next and what else has to come after this meeting and all of that. So I just, as a tool, the pause button,
Mhm.
and this is not a plug, but y'all know we sell pause buttons.
Oh, that's
Like
fun.
the little pause just to notice
That's a great
where you
point.
do already feel the thing and
Mhm,
have the thing that you're seeking.
mhm,
What other tools, if we think about how to help people hold? Because I think you and I both share from this, even though you're wired with a deeper push, I think, than I have. Mine kind of comes and go a little bit more. We're both honoring whatever's true for us and trying to sort out other people's shoulds and shake those off. We're holding both contentment and ambition. Anything else that comes up for you about the how of it? Like tips, tools for how to hold both of those together.
hmm.
Let's see what I have.
I don't know. The how of it, I think For me, it has to begin with the recognition that you might need that.
Mm.
You might need to hold those 2, or you might need to have that balance. They're just
Just even
recognizing it.
that both of those exist can
Yeah,
exist together.
yeah,
Yeah.
and for each individual, I think that's going to be highly unique
Mhm.
because of their life, because of their
Mhm.
family or friend structure or business or work. So I don't know that I have any magic answer there other than recognizing
Yeah.
both can exist and then prioritizing what you feel like is going to bring you contentment, and then, like you've said, pausing
Yeah.
and seeing it. And I do think that it boils down to being present.
Mm.
And meditation is very important to me, and trying to be present and learning more about the ways I can do that, that it doesn't have to happen on the quote sit. If you're sitting for a meditation, it can be present just walking around or
Mhm.
sitting here talking to you, being
Mhm.
present and noticing and thinking through how are these things showing up. And the more I've done that and tried to be present and just slow it down, it becomes part of the foundation or the undercurrent that helps me to
Mhm.
be more content, if that makes
It
sense.
does. It's almost,
It's
as
not
I think
instant.
about it right, it's like a muscle, though.
It
I
is.
do feel like, as you get in a practice of
Mhm.
either, through a struggle like a time of day, like,
Mhm.
I'm a journaler also.
Mhm.
This is the time of day that I really do kinda let the snow globe settle and let the day settle into me
Mhm.
and reflect on it, or during your walk. I think as you build in those rhythms, it can create a foundation, or just some of those practices I think do feel muscle may not be the right metaphor, but as something that gets a little more automatic, I guess. Like, it
Yeah.
takes more effort to kind of get going, um, but then feels like it maybe settles in a little bit differently. Something you just said too reminds me that, I can imagine there are people listening who are like, "Great, I'm glad y'all know what makes you feel content." And I don't really know, because I know I like this and I don't like, I think there are times where, and I said it in the beginning, one of the places where I can get stuck is like, I don't really know what I want right now.
Mhm.
Right? You're in a life stage, and you're like, do I want to, you feel some kind of unease. You're like, do I want to launch a business? Do I want to make this bigger? Do I want to like let it all go and craft at the house? Like,
Mhm.
sometimes I'm like, I could go either way. Which way is this head? It's sometimes hard for me to figure out. So I do want to just acknowledge supportive people,
Mhm.
coaches, business coaches, therapists, all kind of other folks who
Yes.
can help walk alongside you as you're trying to sort out, especially like we were saying, it gets real tangly in our head sometimes to figure out, is this my voice, or is this, my sixth grade teacher's voice, or is this
Right.
the voice that I heard on the podcast telling me what all responsible business owners,
Right.
quote, should be doing right
Yeah.
now in the age of tech adoption?
I don't wanna be that person.
Yeah, right. So, how to figure out what actually is the path that you want to be on, I think, is a bigger task than we've maybe given it credit for at this point. So, I just want to say another tool is all kind of people who exist and would be happy to help sit. I think back, I think I like various therapists and coaches have helped me figure out
Oh,
what it is
yeah.
that I really want.
The people like you, for me, that can ask questions that you don't think to ask of
Mm,
yourself,
mm.
and just being vulnerable and having those conversations. The last thing I wanna sound like is a podcaster that's telling somebody how to live their life. I don't
For
ever
sure.
wanna
I
sound
don't
that
think
way.
that's what we're
But
saying.
I think it's important to recognize the construct in which we all live with
Hmm.
our phones, with our work, with email. Everything is at us all the time. And that I know there are studies that will bear out that that has eroded our ability to be present. It
Hmm.
has
For
really
sure.
negatively impacted our ability to sit and be curious. And I think it's being curious
Yes.
and noticing. Be a noticer, be curious, ask the questions. Don't just sort of go. For me, I have to stop being on autopilot and
Hmm.
look and feel and think through. And now as I have my eye towards retirement, I wanna think about, well, what does that look like? And what does my life look like in 5, 10 years from now? And am I prepared? Do I have enough money for that? Am I gonna be okay? And also, what am I gonna do with my time?
Right, where do I put all this ambition
Right,
energy?
right.
I'm gonna be
It's
walking a
gonna be an
marathon.
amazing garden.
Right, best garden ever.
Oh, I got plans. I wanna take an improv class. I mean, there's all kinds of things I wanna do, but again, it's noticing, okay, does that bring me contentment or am I just trying to, like, fill time?
Yeah,
I don't wanna just fill time.
yeah.
Sometimes I need to just sit there and be quiet.
And I just contentment is such an interesting I know I'm, like, pulling it back to the very beginning, but I think just the permission to let these coexist. There's some narrative around ambition, a
Mhm,
and there's some narrative around contentment that feels like not trying. I mean, it feels like satisfaction, like, "Oh, you can't be satisfied." Like the 2 that they just
mhm,
can't go together because one feels like stop and one feels like go. So, not to be understated, like what you just said, like, just acknowledging that these 2 things can go together
mhm.
is a big piece of it.
I think so, and what if it's all about acceptance too?
Yeah.
And accepting this is where we are, and am I okay with that?
And whether you're okay like,
It's just accepting it is
we are
what it is.
here. I think
Yeah.
acceptance is the first step of all of it, even if you're gonna seek to do something about it,
Mhm.
because you are where you are.
Yeah.
There's a card we do some activities when we facilitate often, there's a card deck, that We and Me creates, Chad Littlefield's group. On the back of one of them is a quote that says something like, "Start from where you are, not where you wish you were."
Mhm. Yeah.
And so much of that,
Yeah,
comes in
because
it
where
for
you
me.
are may be a place where you don't have a lot of energy to put into more and more and more.
Mhm.
So it's just always a good idea. I tell my daughter and my son this, when you don't have the answer, you don't know what to do, sometimes it's better just to do nothing. Don't make a decision. Just do nothing.
Ugh, we could do a whole 'nother episode on the dance of I don't know,
Yeah.
and sitting with, like, okay, it's okay to just not know for right now.
Mhm.
Like, permission to not know.
Mhm.
Because I think as problem solvers, as doers, as especially as figure it out folks,
Mhm.
this, "What do I want? Do I want more ambition? Do I not?" Like, we can drive that question
Right.
into the ground or wrap it with 1,000 other questions, but you're like, "Oh, I don't," and I don't know, and I trust that when I
Mhm.
need to know, I
And for right
will,
now, it's
or I'll
okay.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Oof, I don't know is a hard one. Oh, I feel like I'm hearing some construction
There
sounds in the
is, yeah.
background. Great.
Mhm. It's 7th Avenue, there's always something under
Perfect.
construction.
So if y'all hear construction in the background, you are correct. It is us, not you,
Yeah.
and, it'll be fine. Just wanna see, so journaling for me, honoring the seasons, I think,
I think that's very smart, yeah.
is just a piece of this for me is the allowing.
Mhm.
Allowing ambition to be present or not at the scale that it is or not, contentment the same, and honoring there is a seasonality.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean, "Oh, I'm now failing at small business," because for right now, I'm just not feeling very ambitious.
Right.
You know, you feel how you feel, and it's okay.
Mhm.
I think there are little things, like really practical little things I do too. We've mainly talked today about needing to try to get a handle on ambition. There are times for me that I need to kind of pump myself up where it's not actually contentment, it's I'm not in action because of fear or something
Mhm.
else, where I need to kind of pull myself out of. So that's just something else to look out for is like, are you really content? Or for me, is it I'm
Mm.
afraid or I'm trying, kind of this smallness or
You're
I'm
cocooning.
hiding.
Yeah.
Um, you were actually you're a good nudger in this way. I remember when I came to you I was working on website or rebrand and I wouldn't tell anybody who my clients were. I didn't wanna put them on the webs you're like, "You have to put them on the website." Like,
Yeah.
so these are things I would have said, "I'm fine." Like,
Yeah.
"I'm fine. I'm content with how
Right.
it is."
Right.
And it really was not from a place that wasn't really the situation. It was from a place of, I think, fear of putting out to
Mhm.
everyone for their viewing and opinions what I was up to.
Mhm.
So I have to challenge sometimes the contentment side too. So in those cases, you know, for me, I'm a big reader. There are books on either side. There are books that'll help me calm down. There are books that'll help me step into what I know I really want.
Yep.
I'm somebody who will put a sticky note on my computer to remind myself, like you're telling yourself, calm down. I'll put a sticky note with whatever the issue du jour is that I'm having that I need to stay on the path that I know I want to be on. I even have on the strategy grid that I create for us about who we're serving and how there's a
Mhm.
little note on the top that stays there that's something like, you're enough already. Just show up and figure it out. Like any way that I need to plant in
Mhm.
this, yes, we are enough. This is enough. And there is more. So I'm not kind of fighting in the inside.
Right. Well, and I love how you acknowledge that and you're putting tools or prompts or supports in place to keep yourself on that track that you think you
Right.
need to be on or that you wanna be on.
Right, because
Yeah.
part of it is, I mean, I guess that means there an element of this is just what is the account of how do I put accountability? This is we haven't talked about this is a whole nother talk too, but when you're the leader
Mhm.
of an organization like this, you and I are both business structures where there's not a board holding you accountable,
Mm-mm.
right? It's you.
Mhm.
So you have to figure out
Right.
what you need to do to keep on the path that you say you want to be on.
Mhm.
And I've had to do all kinds of little hacks along the way to keep myself either moving or slowed down,
Mhm.
depending on what I need. So sometimes, I guess, just to say, sometimes y'all, it's really little, whatever it takes, and whatever you think that you're going to need.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna share in the many years that I've been doing this, over time, I've trusted my internal barometer or instinct for when it's time to push hard and
Mm.
go, and when it's time to just sit tight.
Hmm.
And there are a lot of factors that play into that, and it's not just me and my ambition. It's, do I have the right team to push? Do I have
Right.
confidence in the market to push? Or is it better? Is this a growth period for our team internally? And we need to just keep working on some processes internally before we try and go after yet
Mm.
another rung on the ladder.
It's a great point. Is what does even the put? We think that push looks a certain way, but what does it really take? I think of Jenga, the game.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
they're like, what blocks can we actually move right now?
hmm
And ambition sometimes can just feel like push a block. I'm like,
Yeah.
you can, but you're going to push the whole tower
Right.
down.
Right.
So what blocks can move? And then I want to pull out what you said too to make sure that we sit in for a second that you trust. I didn't capture exactly what you said, but something about trusting your intuition.
hmm
So just as a piece of all of this, when I said you're creating what you want this to look like,
hmm
sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow. It doesn't look like anybody else's. Trusting your intuition, again, for me is something that easier said than done
hmm
and so important.
It is. Well, it has been for me.
Yeah.
And again, I think it was how I was raised and how I watched my parents
Mm.
build their businesses and be successful at life and what they do. Sometimes that instinct may be wrong, and you have to acknowledge that. But for the most part, if I, as my mom would say, just get quiet and listen to your instinct.
I
So
love this, Mom. Thank you for that.
in her mind, that get quiet means shut out all the noise. However, it's always balanced with take in as much data and fact as
Right.
you can, then shut out all the noise. Look at what's important to you. Do you really want to spend an extra 10 hours a week grinding it out, pushing for this goal? Or do you need to maybe spend that time at home right now?
Mm.
And maybe that'll come later. And, that's just my approach.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the solid business approach everyone needs to follow, but
I
that's
don't see a
what's worked
way.
for me.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to have a different approach to this. Apple Watch your heart out if that's your jam,
Sure.
whoever's listening. I'm somebody who's I think I get too obsessive. I'm like, I can't
Oh,
be
I would.
monitoring because
Yeah.
I would be like, oh, I'm 40 steps away. Let me run around the building. And I just can't. It's too
Yeah.
much for me. But no matter how we slice this, it keeps coming back in some way to me to notice like a quietness,
Noticing and being
which is
quiet.
interesting for the
Mhm.
two of us who probably don't come across as particularly slow and quiet to say, this is what it takes to help balance out
Mhm.
and to listen
Mhm.
and soak in and balance the and out. I love, yeah, your mom's guidance. Get quiet. and listen to your intuition.
Mhm.
I think that's a lovely place to tie this up, unless you have something else that you just wish you would have said and you had in your mind that we haven't covered yet.
No, I think there's a danger now if I go too far off script at
Okay,
this point,
great.
so
The messaging, the messaging expert says,
let's
I
call
have I have covered
it.
enough. Thank you for being up for this. This is our first, experiment with bringing our materials on the road, so it's perfect that there's construction in the background, the things that you can't prepare for,
Yeah,
and that we just,
you
figure
accept.
it out, and cheers to acceptance.
Mhm.
Cheers to figuring it out. Thanks all of you all for listening. I hope you'll let me know what resonates with you. And in particular, what feels helpful is if something resonates with you or you enjoyed this podcast, share it with somebody else. We're not doing a lot to follow algorithms on social media to get followers and do all those things. I really believe that a lot of growth can come from genuine value that gets shared one person at a time. So appreciate you helping us get the word out. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Erica.
Thank you.
Bye. The Stand in the And podcast is supported by Human Centered Strategy, where we help leaders and teams build connection and strategy and complexity so that everyone can flourish. To learn more or to work with us, please visit us online at humancenteredstrategy.com or message me on LinkedIn.